Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Overreaction Buffalo Postgame Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe, brought to you by the BFLO store, the official retail store of the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. It's so good to have every single one of you guys joining us. And I'm on the wrong side there, John. I don't know why I didn't correct that. There we go. Now that looks right to me.
I didn't know you could do that. Why am I always at the bottom when Jerry O's with us?
That's just how it would, so the order that we come in at. But you have control over that too.
Is it because I'm always late? How do I do that?
It's because you're always late. So good to have every single one of you guys joining us. Let's see here. Please do us a favor. Please please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this video on right now. If you have the ability to smash that like or subscribe, please do so. And if you're listening to this in post, please keep in mind that you can find all of our podcasts, or I should say our shows, in podcast form on every podcast platform out there. Just search Overreaction Buff, and also like and subscribe there, and leave a comment and tell a friend and do all that good stuff. Anyways, my name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter, Joe Miller Wired. That guy sitting next to me is John Fina, former offensive tackle for the Buffalo Bills for 10 years. Not joining us for this show is Jerry Ostrowski, who is out doing awesome things with his son, college football related. And we're excited for him and what they're kind of going through in this process that they're in. But they're not going to be with us, or he's not going to be with us this evening. But Jerry, we're going to miss you. And John, I'm glad to be with you. The Buffalo Bills finished the season 13-4. And we're going to talk all about this football game. But before we do, John, let's listen to a spot from our sponsor, the BFLO store. Here we go.
Shopping for that special occasion? The BFLO store is the perfect place to begin for all things Buffalo. You'll discover the largest selection of Buffalo products and brand collabs not available anywhere else. From licensed team sportswear and gifts to Buffalo apparel and home decor. Visit any of our convenient locations or shop online. You'll find something for everyone. And you just never know who you may see shopping there. The BFLO store, Western New York's premier retail destination. Official retailer of the Buffalo Bills and Sabres.
Whether you're hunting for the latest Bills gear, Buffalo-themed apparel, or the perfect hat for game day, the BFLO store has something for everyone. With 4 convenient locations, Transit Town Plaza, Boulevard Consumer Square, McKinley Mall, and the Walden Galleria Mall, you'll find something that's perfect for your next fit. Or if you're more of an online shopper, just head over to bfloshop.com and get everything delivered right to your door. If you're one of those people that don't leave the house, John, that's what they're talking about. But the BFLO store, the official retailer of the Buffalo Bills. Welcome to everybody that's joining us in the chat. John, as meaningless football games go, that was one.
Yeah. Joe, we have to retool that expression. It's no playoff implication, but certainly not meaningless.
I get it.
Nonetheless, my level of enjoyment being stress-free watching a Bills game during the regular season was absolutely, it was like I was on the ethereal plane, just cruising through life. I was like, thinking about what I'm going to cook for dinner, and I can tinker with something while the game is going on. I didn't feel compelled to sit there and chew my nails down to the knuckle.
So this is what my wife feels like during football games, is what you're telling me.
Oh, well, I mean, if her nails look like mine, then
no, she just isn't overly compelled. She watches and she's excited for McKenna and I, but she's not super in tune to what they're doing. Yes, you are correct. We probably need to have a different way to describe a meaningless football game. The funny part is it wasn't meaningless for the New England Patriots, who went from the first overall pick, had they lost, down to the 4th overall pick, and Gerard Mayo was immediately fired. Now it has,
do you think it was because of that?
I would expect that this had a very Lovie Smith kind of situation where he probably knew it was coming, and they didn't necessarily go out of their way to lose this football game, whereas other teams that were 3-13 kind of did go out of their way to make sure that they held their draft status, or at least, gained on what would be the Patriots. But Gerard Mayo has been fired. Now we're looking at Robert Saleh, who got fired early in the season, and Mike McDaniel lost today. The Miami Dolphins lost today to the Jets. So there's a question mark around him and David Greer, who's the general manager for the Dolphins. What's interesting about this weekend is, to your point, we sat here and we watched football very unnervously. No fantasy implications, no like win-loss implications. The kind of hope is that the Patriots would beat us so that they would lose that draft spot. And then, oh, by the way, it'd be great if the Dolphins lost too. So like rooting for the Jets at the same time. Interesting weekend for sure. And all those things came true. But now it looks like we were facing the Denver Broncos. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how much you have watched Bo Nix, not Buddy Nix, how much you've watched Bo Nix, but he looks good. He looks really good.
I will say I got that one wrong. I
Really?
liked Bo Nix in college. I thought he was going to be a great college football player, and he was. Followed him at Auburn, very dynamic. I didn't feel like all the skills would translate. A little bit too much of, what was his name from Texas, went to Cleveland, Manziel, not in the, I've lost my mind and I'm going to drive drunk, or, a little
bit of Johnny.
Yeah, a little gambler, but honestly, very surprising. He's managing the game really well. He runs incredibly well. And I think it's just, he's got a great staff, right? So they're a threat and they're a scary team. Their defense is strong, and it's hard to really gauge beating the Chiefs today, but their body of work is threatening for sure.
And they've got some very good players. Patrick Surtain is on that football team. Cortland Sutton, who I wanted when all the conversations and rumors about who was getting traded before Jerry Jeudy got traded, and the belief was that Cortland Sutton was going to go, and it's like, oh, bring him to Buffalo.
I agreed with that too. He's a striking player. Very exciting.
Good on offense, good on defense. And the thing about Bo Nix is, as much as he's managing the game well, when he needs to rip it, he rips it, which is concerning. But we can talk about that in a minute. Just thoughts about this football game for me. And, when you look at what, it's not meaningless, right? Guys are trying to put film on tape. One of those guys specifically, Mitchell Trubisky, who more than likely all signs point to, and they talked about it on the broadcast, I believe, all signs point to him not being a backup in Buffalo next year. They gave Mike White, they brought him up to the 53. They gave Mike White a 1-year extension, which basically kind of is that, hey, we want you to be our backup quarterback next year. They like what he did and the sacrifice he kind of made joining the Bills practice squad this year, because he could have been a backup just about anywhere, more than likely, is kind of the rumor. I think we were talking about this on the pregame show today on WGR 55. But there was not much compelling quarterback play, even from a backup standpoint. And there were the receivers that were in the game, Keon Coleman, right? $8 million Curtis Samuel. Like they had Quentin Nelson isn't Dawson Knox or Dalton Kincaid, but Q is
Quentin Morris.
Quentin Morris is a good tight end on this. Thank you for correcting me. He's a good tight end on this football team. Everybody's bringing up the Keon Coleman was targeted 9 times and had 2 catches. Well, the ball was behind him.
This is not Keon Coleman's fault. I mean, starting from the top, and you unloaded a lot on me right there.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, don't be sorry. I can handle it. I'm a big boy.
You are.
We have a backup quarterback issue at the moment, and both of them, and I can understand Mike White for really, being the scout team quarterback, not being sharp, but Mitchell Trubisky was just awful.
Yeah.
I mean, he was not very good at all. And then that sort of drifts into the 9 targets for Keon Coleman, where I don't know that, he had 2 catches or 3 catches.
Yeah.
I don't know that 2 catches. I don't know that the other 7 balls were really even catchable. They were poorly timed. They were poorly placed. And I don't want to defend Keon Coleman the entire way, because there were at least 2 circumstances where he needs to go after the ball over the DB, elevate, reach across. He needs some acting lessons. Maybe he should go find a good acting coach. He needs to pretend like he's being violated on every play. And he wasn't doing that. If you're going to get a call, you got to pretend. You got to be like a quarterback. You got to flop. You got to be dramatic, throw your head back, roll around, wave your arms, maybe a little tear coming out of your eye. So that would be my coaching point for Keon Coleman. He was not aggressive in contested catches enough, despite the ball not being placed properly, in order to get the side judge to throw a flag, for the love of God.
Right. Good things from this football game. James Cook does get 1,000 yards for the second time 2 years in a row. He also got, 16 touchdowns to tie O.J. Simpson's franchise record. They were hoping to get him his 17th, but it never was able to, it never came. And then they also missed on the 14 different players with a receiving touchdown. They missed on that opportunity as well. It was the first touchdown that the Bills scored. Trubisky takes the snap. He glanced immediately to Gilliam, and they had two guys on Gilliam. It was almost like the Patriots were like, nah, like not on us. You're not getting that record on us. So he immediately looked away and went to his left. So there were some good things from this game. I thought the offensive line played pretty okay. The defense left me wanting.
Well,
okay. And Joe Milton III played lights out. I mean, he was 11 for 11 at one point in time, and then he's like scrambling his brains off and completing passes. Go ahead.
No, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I don't think that they went into this game planning to play aggressive secondary coverage, right? I think their plan was a little bit like, we're just going to go umbrella, let them take stuff. And I, as well as you, was a little bit kind of, well, what did we see there? But in the end, and I hate that expression, everybody knows that by now, they weren't very good on third down efficiency. They were 4 of 12. So it, as much as we didn't like it because there were chunk plays and we sort of made this this backup quarterback look pretty damn good, which he threw some beautiful balls out there.
Yes.
We bent, and, we didn't really break a ton, given that they scored 23 and we didn't appear to be trying very hard. But I think the positives far outweigh any of the secondary stuff. I think that game in the secondary was really designed for Cole Bishop just to keep getting a better feel, a feel in space, get him really ready to go for the playoffs. I thought it was designed to take a look at the front four and the linebackers and see who's going to play more and what kind of effort these guys are going to give. And across the board, the rookies that came out and played on defense were terrific. I mean, at the linebacker position, defensive line, Carter played really well. There are coaching points there, but a lot of that is feel, Joe. There's practice speed and there's game speed. So, I mean, I could dig a little bit deeper if you want. For example, Javon Solomon, I see this a lot in the NFL all the time. When you're rushing the passer, he missed out on probably 2 or 3 sacks because when the point of contact was decided by him, it was too shallow. And I want guys to stay on the upfield shoulder. So for our listeners, that means, aim more toward the end zone rather than a target point between the quarterback and the center. Because, he lost the quarterback, rolling out a couple of times where he had sacks. It was kind of sad. I would have loved to have seen him do better than that in the stats category. But by and large, he played extremely well.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is my buddy Brian Wood, who I used to work with and golf with. But I've golfed with him since I've been home too. He says, "Hey Joe, do you think Hyde will play during the playoffs or keep him in the garage?" I don't think that Micah Hyde is going to be playing football unless something drastically happens. We talked about this. I don't know if it was you, me, and Jerry, or just you and me, but I feel like we've discussed this a little bit. Like, do you want to get him live reps before the playoffs? Just under the idea that like preseason is one speed, regular season is another speed, and then playoff speed is like completely different. To not have played a down since last year and then to be inserted in the playoffs seems a little far-fetched, but I don't know if you've got thoughts on that.
No, we're not going to see Micah Hyde. And, that was my feeling last week. And obviously it happened today. He was not dressed, not playing. I think the best thing that happened in the secondary today was, for Taylor Rapp to make that horrible decision to come up and do some run support from 30 yards deep rather than just play in center field where he belongs and have a chance at making that tackle and not giving up the long touchdown. So, a guy looks at that, and they're going to watch this film just like they watch any film. And that's going to be a cringeworthy moment for him in the meeting. And you're watching film and those types of things, that self-effacement that you go through when you put something on film, you're like, it just and they're going to rewind it. They got that little button, and the coach is just going to rewind it, and he's not going to say anything. It's going to be in a darkened room, and it's going to go back 5 seconds, and then it's going to run 5 seconds. You can do that 3 or 4 times, and everybody's going to sit there squirming. And finally, the coach is going to say something to the effect of, "What the hell were you thinking here?" And the question is coming. And even though the question comes, you have no good response, because the only real response is, "Yeah, I kind of have my head up my ass."
Yeah, you feel like I was going to look for work, right? Meanwhile, the work was behind him, or the work was in the middle of the field. I feel like the safeties left a lot to be desired in this football game. And I didn't hear Cam Lewis's name, I don't think, once. I mean, I wasn't overly paying attention to the broadcast, but it felt like it was Hamlin, Rapp, and Bishop a lot. And I don't feel like any of them necessarily shined in this football game.
No, again, but I don't think that was the plan. And, collisions cause injury. Collisions cause, this is how, and I'm going to tell you why it's important. And why it's important. But let's say the Bills play next Sunday, right? A full week from today. That means the first installation and workday is Wednesday. Mm-hmm. They are going to be substantially better physically, feeling, to get amped up, to have a full speed practice. And I'm not talking about contact. I'm talking about no limited, no red jersey, none of that garbage, right? So we kept it in front of us for the most part. We didn't do perfect things, but going into Wednesday and Thursday, those 2 days, we're going to get the biggest value out of.
Right. The question is they had the horses potentially to not play Rapp and Hamlin, or Rapp and Bishop. And it makes you wonder why those three played the whole game in some combination or another. They were the only one.
To that.
Go ahead.
I still think that's a group that needs to get better for the playoffs. So you want to keep rolling those guys. You want to keep them both play fresh, meaning loose, experienced on the field, not standing on the sideline, looking up into the crowd and getting, like, hey, when can I have a hot dog? You don't want that mentality going on. So they're staying in the game. They're staying fresh and loose by being in the game rather than being on the sideline.
Gotcha. I guess it makes sense. It's just going into the playoffs. You'd like everybody as much as possible to experience the ability to be as fresh as possible, right? I was surprised they sat Matt Milano. I thought Matt Milano probably could have used some more reps to kind of continue to get his feet underneath him. I'm trying to think of what else. Obviously, Amari Cooper, for those that did not hear, was excused for personal reasons, for family reasons, which is fine. And I can't remember else. All the other ones seemed like they completely made sense. Dion was sat. Josh dressed, took one snap, which apparently he is credited with the loss. So Josh has a start and a loss because of this football.
What is this, baseball?
Pretty much, which is crazy. Anything else before we talk about the Denver game? Kind of like a quick look ahead. Anything else you want to bring up about this football game?
Yeah, I think it wasn't a surprise to me to not have Matt Milano out there. I think his instincts are good. I think he's just going to benefit from more time on the treadmill, the Stairmaster, whatever the hell they call it now, the elliptical, getting ice down, getting healthy, getting his anti-inflammatory, relief. And the benefit of having Ulafoshio and Andreessen in there is really beneficial in that, I think Andreessen can run pretty well. But as I watched the game, both of those guys who shined, and there's no two ways about it, they were still a little bit lost in space insofar as, where do I need to be at depth during this passing play? Sometimes they were too shallow, and you don't have a lot of reference points when you have nothing but 5 yards around you. You're really trying to play the flow of the play, the understanding of the coverage, and reacting to the personnel that are, not next to you. So I think that it was wise not to play Milano. I like that Dorian Williams got in. I thought that was smart. That was good play. Ray Davis looked just terrific as he has all season. And I thought it was great that Dwayne Carter got in. I thought that was an important move, just to continue to test the recovery. So that was important.
And Von Miller got his one sack, basically put a palm on the quarterback, and the quarterback fell over. So, which was, I was almost wondering if they were not going to credit him for the sack, because he basically just put his palm on the dude's chest pad, and then like he took 2 steps back and fell over another defender. And I was like, I'm not sure that was a sack for Von Miller or not.
No, it was the palm of legend. Like when he just touches somebody, it's like Thor, the electricity just coming right through the hand. I mean, he probably just
Vaughn
short-circuited.
I think Vaughn tried to sell it. Like, I got that sack. I got it. And he ran off like celebrating. Like, that was my sack. And
yeah. That's a $1.5 million palm right there. I love it.
Looking at the stats, let's jump into the stats real quick. I'm not going to go through a ton of them. You had 4 of 12 third down efficiency. That was the Patriots, by the way. The Bills were 6 of 15.
No, that's what I meant. I meant that we were playing soft coverage, and it didn't look great and it didn't feel great, but they were still 4 of 12.
Yeah, well, they also had 19 first downs. So I think they were making first downs on first and second down, mostly. The Buffalo Bills had 16 first downs. They were 6 of 15 on third down efficiency, which is also not great. And they were 1 of 4 on fourth down efficiency. When you look at numbers simply of those caliber, as it pertains to Josh Allen not playing, it speaks to his importance kind of in this football game, or to this football team. The Bills had 65 plays to the Patriots 61. No sacks allowed for the Bills, 1 sack allowed for the Patriots, 4 punts to 3 punts. I thought it was going to be a punt fest. I thought it was going to be like 8 to 9. I didn't expect. I thought 17-10 was my guess for this football game. Penalties 6 to 35, 7 to 59. The Patriots did have a fumble lost, and then time of possession was 28-46, 29 for the Bills, 31 for the Patriots. Player stats, there isn't really much here. 15 to 21 for 101 for Trubisky with a touchdown. Mike White was 3 of 11 for 28. He did not look good at all. Very inaccurate. And, who knows? I don't know how much rust there is. You could probably speak to the rust factor, right? So he's playing scout team quarterback. He's playing, he's throwing the ball in practice. He threw the ball, I'm sure, all week long. Does that knock rust off, or is it a situation? I haven't thrown the football in a real game since last year. I'm a little rusty.
Well, I think that was for both of them, quite frankly, and it makes a big difference. Practice speed to game speed. I expected a little bit more. I think that's why I'm reasonably disappointed. I will say that the James Cook numbers are misleading, because early in his carries, he had some really nice 5 to 7 yard runs, and it wasn't until we got down to the end zone and he had a couple of really short ones that dropped his average, but his effectiveness and the style of running was still apparent. He was still aggressive. So I think that's a little bit of a misleading number, but by and large, you're right. Nothing really pops out tremendously here, but again, that was not the game plan. The game plan was get everybody out, mostly healthy, just, might need a little bit of ice, might need a little bit of bourbon after the game, and tool up and get ready for the D-Town Bronx.
Yep. Real quick on those rushing numbers, Ray Davis led the way with 15 carries for 64 yards. James Cook, 10 for 28 yards. Ty Johnson, who I thought we were going to see more of, 2 for 13 yards. Mitch Trubisky, 4 rushes for 12. Keon Coleman, 1 for 9. I missed that play. Reggie Gilliam, 1 for 4. Curtis Samuel was 7 for 52. Keon Coleman was 2 for 31. Matt Collins, 3 for 20. What was the whole celebration that Matt Collins kept doing? The first 2 or 3 times, when he caught the ball, he was doing this. He was whipping his hand in the air. I was like, what are you? I don't know if he was signaling somebody in the suite. I don't know if he's racking them up, because I know there was incentives kind of involved, or what the story was, but I don't know. Bizarre.
I think it was based on the incentives partially, but also that Matt Collins just seems like the kind of guy who's spends 5 minutes before every game and says, what goofy thing am I going to do that just represents me as Matt Collins, separate character from anybody else? Like when he did the sort of grand marshal in the parade thing with the stomp and the arm, which I thought was just absolutely beautiful. He's just a character. I love it.
So Matt Collins is Ali Sheedy's character in The Breakfast Club. Like in the wide receiver room, he's the one in the back at the back desk, like putting cereal on a sandwich and then crunching it down into it.
Pixie sticks. Yeah. Honestly, my molars hurt just thinking of that scene. It's just dentists everywhere are rejoicing in hopes that teenage girls were copying that.
That's funny. We're not going to keep you guys super long, just because there's a really good football game on right now on Sunday Night Football. Once again, there's been a lot of game of the years, and this one is for all the marbles in the NFC North. The Minnesota Vikings are playing the Detroit Lions right now. It's 0-0. It's in the first quarter. The game just started, but let's do the dude awards, the down dude awards, because this is a loss. And then we'll talk about the Denver Broncos real quick, and then we'll get everybody out of here. So from a negative down dude. So for everybody that doesn't know, that might be new to the show, people do arrow up, arrow down. People do thumbs up, thumbs down. We do the dude awards. If somebody has a good game, it's dude, great game. If somebody has a bad game, it's dude, we got to talk. You got to be better. So the Buffalo Bills did not play super great today in a game that didn't necessarily matter in the grand scheme of the playoffs, but I did that for you, John. But I'm going to let you go first. Your dude award for this football game is whom?
Ooh, dude as in bro. Do better.
Dude, bro. Be better, yeah.
It's kind of a three-way tie. Josh Allen for taking the loss. I'm so disappointed.
He doesn't deserve the MVP just for this loss.
Benched
in the first quarter.
Taylor Rapp on one play just looked, that was very rookie-esque. That bothers me still. Hopefully it's a huge motivator for him. But I'll have to say Mitch Trubisky, and here's my caveat. Without having digested the sideline all 22, I can't say that all those late throws, behind the guy throws, poorly placed throws, were all his fault, but he didn't look sharp at all. And I'm picking on a backup who I hope we don't see. But beyond that, it's hard to say anybody was hugely disappointing. But I will hand the mantle over to you, Joe. And who are you going to crush?
So Mitchell Trubisky had the one drive early in the game that he went on the field, matriculated the ball down the field and looked pretty okay. But yes, to your point, and I'm glad you did not take Taylor Rapp, because that's who I was wanting to take, or at least some version or some what's the word? Variation of the safeties. I just felt like the safeties, umbrella coverage you talked about. I felt like the corners weren't necessarily bad. Jamarcus Ingram was active in this football game. Rasul Douglas, I don't know where his eyes were at on the first touchdown by the Patriots. He followed his guy inside and was like staring at the defensive line, and the I think it was the quarterback. It was Joe Milton, ran right by him, and he was like, "Oh, there goes the football over there." But the safeties were, Taylor. That I just don't know. I don't know where his head is at. I wish we could be in that film room this week, to your point, when they run it back 4 or 5 times and the lights off, and then pop the lights on and be like, "So, bro." But yeah, so for me, it's Taylor Rapp in this game. So they got to be better. They're going to have to be better starting this week. So let's take the last couple of minutes of this episode and talk about some of your thoughts as it pertains to the Buffalo Bills hosting the Denver Broncos. We do not have a time yet. There's a lot of expectation that it's going to be 1 o'clock, I think, on Sunday, which would be fine with me. But yeah, quick first thoughts on the Denver Broncos coming to Buffalo for the first wild card weekend.
Well, I don't think that there's any illusion at One Bills Drive that this is a team that doesn't feel like they have some sort of lightning in a bottle or, manifest destiny kind of situation. So it's almost better that we play this team straight out and beat them, given that we understand. And I think everybody in that locker room is going to understand the weapons that Denver has on offense, how stout their defense is, and the fact that they've got a rookie quarterback who, for lack of a better expression, it might be kind of living on borrowed time, getting away with a lot. So my expectation is the starters who did not play today very closely watched their younger teammates, and there are a lot of them out there. And I think that is a very compelling situation to see the guys that you work with every day excelling on the field and flying around. And that it bolsters all of your desire to play even better in the playoffs. Like, you want to win for your teammates, your family, your coaches, your city. And the fact that, this is a game that didn't have any impact on the playoffs, but your guys, your brothers in arms went out there and battled their butts off. There's that feeling like I have to step it up for these guys who have had my back the whole year, who've been mired in the shadows. So, all game planning aside, emotions are going to be big for the result of this game.
Yeah, as much as there's people in the comment section on YouTube, love all you commenters over there that are hanging out. Appreciate you guys saying to kind of take this game with a grain of salt, this Bills Patriots game. Obviously, there's a grain of saltiness, a graininess of salt, grain of saltiness, whichever way you want to say that. To the Broncos playing the Chiefs in Denver for their football game. The Broncos had to win to be in, so they needed this football game. The Chiefs sat Mahomes and sat, I don't know who all else they sat, but it seems like they sat just about everybody. But in this game, Bo Nix was 26 of 29. Not bad for 321 and 4 touchdowns. That's an incredible stat line from any quarterback, let alone a rookie quarterback. He also led the day rushing 7 for 47 yards. McLaughlin was 16 of 39. Javonte Williams was 5 of 28. Cortland Sutton, 5 of 98 and a touchdown. Marvin Mims is a good football player. The Bills are going to have their hands full with this quarterback and these 2 wide receivers. Not that our defensive backfield isn't pretty good. 5 of 51 for 2 touchdowns. And then Devon Vele was 4 for 50 with 1 touchdown. It's going to be a good football game. When you look at just kind of how they stack up. The Denver Broncos obviously came into Buffalo last year, completely different football team, same head coach, not completely, very different football team with Russell Wilson. Beat the Bills last year due to too many men on the defense in a field goal attempt, I believe it was. Yep. A game that basically the Broncos made ugly at home in Buffalo. I don't know any other way that you could probably say that. The Broncos basically uglied that game down and kind of took that efficiency, that I don't want to say eliteness, but just kind of the way that the Bills like to operate, the way that you guys almost used to operate, just a very precision type offense, and just turned it into an ugly game between the two of them. This game, it's the playoffs. It's one and done, right? It's a single game elimination tournament, and they're all going to make me nervous. I'm glad we're not seeing the Bengals. I know the Bengals have not had a good season. That team just seems to match up so well against our team. They just seem to have our number. So I preferred the Dolphins over all of them, but I'll take the Broncos over the Bengals almost any day of the week. But
Mike McDaniel might be unemployed, and actually by the time that game comes around next week, he might be on our staff, advising in some of the run game, because we do have 3 great running backs. So McDaniel might be the third casualty of the AFC East, the most shocking division in football. Not matching any expectation whatsoever from anybody. Joe, it will be a slugfest. And my early prediction right now is you'll see a lot of Alec Anderson. I think we want to dose them with 6 offensive linemen. You've seen he's doing such a beautiful job, whether he's on the line of scrimmage with his hand on the ground or in motion. I think we're going to want to soften them up early at home and pound them with the run, both between the tackles and outside.
Right. Excited. Playoffs. Everything that we play for is here, right? So this is what you play for throughout the season, and the road to the Super Bowl is upon us. They're 3 games away from that. And it was interesting to hear the broadcast team talk about it. Just seems inevitable that it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs kind of at the end for the AFC. And I say that it's interesting just because there's some good football teams in this playoff picture. I don't understand for the life of me why all the good quarterbacks seem to be going to the AFC, but that seems to be where they're all going, which just makes it that much more difficult for the Buffalo.
And agonizing.
And yes.
I'll be spending this week on bourbon and Xanax.
I don't think you're supposed to advertise that. Hopefully you get a prescription.
It's prescription.
I was going to say that. Let's see schedule for this week for Overreaction. I am undetermined or indetermined. I'm not determined yet. I'm not sure about an aftermath episode tomorrow. If I feel like there's something bubbling up that I want to talk about, you will have one. The Off Tackle with John Fina show, I think you're in the same space, right? There wasn't a whole lot to break down from this football game today. Yes, no?
Yeah, we are going to postpone. Bruno Fina is in town after a great and a successful Duke football season. So I'm going to try to spend as much time with the Bruins as I can. And we'll pick it back up again next week after a Bills victory.
Very good. Tuesday on the beat, Jenna Cottrell from Wham 13 and 1/3 of the Buffalo Plus podcast will be joining us for On the Beat on Tuesday. Wednesday, the Hump Day Hotline will return now that we've gotten hopefully all the technical difficulties fixed, being that we're obviously doing a show right now. And then for sure, Jerry Ostrowski and the Big O Show, your first preview from Overreaction for this Bills Denver Broncos playoff game will be on Thursday. Any final words before I get us out of here?
Hey, Bills Mafia, stay safe out there. Congratulations on enjoying a stress-free Sunday.
You going to answer that question?
I am going to answer that question. Mandy Rush, thank you. And it is definitely prescribed by my physician. Unfortunately, I am my physician.
Mandy Rush asked John if the bourbon was prescription, which is what John was just responding to, which is funny.
Oh, that's right. Not everybody is watching the podcast. People are downloading it, whether this podcast finds you at the gym with your earbuds on or driving to work. Please enjoy. Please tell a friend and share it with somebody. Like and subscribe. We love having you. We're having a great time.
You just did the whole outro. I don't think I have to do anything. So, appreciate all of you guys joining us. My name is Joe Miller. There's John Fina. This has been the Overreaction Postgame Show. We will catch you guys this week. The Buffalo Bills, 13-4, headed to the playoffs. Denver Broncos sometime next weekend. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. For me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at Overreaction. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.